In this video, I want to go through the installation of the SQL Server documentation and structure importer. This takes the place of apps 1 through 3 in the previous version. Okay, the first thing that we want to do is find the MSI file wherever we've placed it and go ahead and click on it. And I would accept all the defaults unless there's something fancy that you wanted to do, like run it from another directory or another drive. If everything worked the way it should, there should be an icon now for the structure importer. Let's go ahead and run it. The first time it's going to ask you where your history file is going to be, and it'll have a suggestion of the name where it says SQL history MDB. This is what you should accept. We're going to choose the schema choice now to start in. Okay, we want to go ahead and log on to the server. And I happen to be on the server, so I'm going to change the connection string to work for the server. And I'm going to select the database name MMS, which is the Max version 5.4 that was supplied. Test the connection. And this failed because I haven't typed in the connection string properly. So now I'll go ahead and fix that. And the test succeeded, so we're going to go ahead and finish that step. Now we can analyze the SQL database, where it'll collect all the information needed for the comparison. You can see up in the progress meter some of the steps that it's going through. Okay, when the message says it's completed, it should have completed the analysis of the SQL database. And if you look in the SQL schema tab, these are all the tables that will gradually be filled in. The SQL table should be filled in now, and you should be able to see whatever date is present. Okay, so let's go back and select our documentation database. Okay, in this particular case, I'm going to take the Max V553 database that was supplied, and I'm going to copy it to the local hard drive, and I'm going to place it in the application directory. And now we'll pick it as a source. And if it's in the application directory, it'll show up by default. Okay, anything that pops up here indicates it was the old format and it'll have to be upgraded. These will automatically remap all the fields and tables. So you should just have to say OK to these, unless there's something else that you wanted to accomplish here. But it gives you the option to. And one of the things that you'll notice happening is the current YN field wasn't in. It's going to be replaced with the default value of Y to start fresh. And it's going to have to do this once for each table. Once that's complete, it's going to go ahead and copy the data in to the new structure. And this should be confirmation that you've built an upgraded database to the new version. Now you want to go ahead and select this as the source rather than the non-upgraded version. it'll be in the same directory as your original was with the name new after it. So let's go ahead and select that, and you'll notice this time it just loads the data. It doesn't go through the upgrading. Okay, the next thing we want to do is pick a target to store the changes, or to store the current information. And we'll go ahead and name this Max V554. And it's not there, so we're going to have to create it. Okay, now we have to fill in these 3 text boxes down at the bottom. The first one's a description for the history file of what you're doing. This is going to be first pass V554. And over here, the source of the document or database is V553, and the target is going to be V554. All these have to be filled in, or it won't let you complete when you go down here. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and compare the source and save it to this new target database. And what this is doing, it's reading all of the information into memory from the old database and then doing an in-memory comparison to keep the speed high. Okay, this message confirms that that part is complete, so the comparison should be done on the new database built. So now if we go back in the Schema tab, the MDB information should be filled out as well. And if we look in the log, we'll notice there's quite a few changes that are found. This simply shows what entries are in the database. So now let's go and make some sense out of what these mean. So exit the schema and go into document. This is where all the reports are, and we'll go ahead and run reports on the log file and see what it means. So let's open our new database, V554. And we'll go to the reports. This report viewer will show all reports that are stored in the application directory or the report directory. So they can be additional reports can be added with Report Builder 3.0, but there are a few that are already included. Let's go down to the changes. This message here offers to overwrite the data connection in the Report Builder 3.0 report that this is derived from to the current database that you're using. If you want to run them standalone from just Report Builder 3.0, you have to do this step, or the data connection will be to the old database instead of this. This is a configuration screen for the reports. In this case, anything that can be filtered is over here in the filter by. So we have several things we can filter by. Comparison, which is the date and the server we were connected to when we ran the comparison. The table name that we want to look at to see what changes we're in, and the change type. So let's take a look at a concern that I've had for the first time through. And that is that none of the view scripts existed in the old, but they'll exist in the new. So we can see what kind of changes we're going to have in the log file from taking the table name and selecting only the views. Save the selection and go to the change type, and let's look at what's been altered. Save that selection. and then say OK. If you look at the list, there's 2 pages of alterations to the view scripts, and these all are going to be phantom because the view script wasn't present in the last database and now it's present here. And one of the ways you can tell that they're phantom is the old value and new value are going to be blank if both of them were null before. But I would suggest we'll probably zero these out of the log file so they don't keep showing up. Or, of course, subsequent comparisons, if you don't pick the first run to look at, won't show. Let's see if there's any real ones, though. Let's go back and configure the report to check for table name base tables to see if any tables were added. And we'll save that selection. And then down here in the change type, let's look for create and drop to see if any were dropped. And we'll go ahead and refresh the report. Now if you look here, you should see the tables that were created. And you see several are listed that were found here that weren't found in the original. It's 1 page. And I don't see any drops. So this gives a basic example of importing the data and comparing it. But let's go ahead and back out of here and close up the report viewer. And let's see what else can be done with this screen. This screen here is where you change your documentation. So if you want to change the documentation of tables, views, procedures, triggers, foreign keys, or usage, you could do it by either checking the tree to open up that area. And the tree is useful because you could skip right to several levels deep of what you want to adjust. Or you could select from the menu strip in the top. So let's say you want to document a table and you want to document something in the bill of lading carrier. Go ahead and check that. It'll bring you right to that level of detail. Okay, so now you're down in the bill of lading carrier area where you can make your changes down here and either clear or accept the changes, or whatever button is to the right will drill down deeper into the structure, or you could have drilled down deeper into the structure on the tree. So I hope this gives a overview of how to get back up to where apps 1 through 3 were before. If there are any questions, we'll have to go over it beyond this video, or perhaps other videos are to follow, which include how to check scripts, write scripts, test queries on the database. Thank you.